Hello, Anita.
Hi, Lilu. How are you?
Good. It's good to be with you. It's good to see you in person after everything that I've heard about your story and the miracle of you being alive right now.
I know it feels great, and I'm so excited to be interviewed by you. Thanks to Wayne Dyer. He's such a beautiful spirit.
Wayne Dyer is absolutely amazing. Interviewing him was a miracle on the GC Living Tour when I was in Hawaii, meeting him and what a beautiful soul he is. And he spoke so highly of you. He gave me right during this interview, at the end of the interview, your full story printed out, and I read it. And I'm like, I have to meet this Anita. I have to get to know her and really share your story with the world, as many people as I can, because there's so many beautiful lessons. Really, you had a major near-death experience, one where, well, we had only 36 hours to live, right? You were
Yeah, I think that at best 36 hours.
Tell us about your cancer, because you had a cancer already for many years, but you were only given a few hours. There was billions of cancer cells in your body, and yet they disappeared quite miraculously, huh?
Yeah, they did. Well, actually, I had cancer for almost 4 years, and I was diagnosed in 2002, and it was lymphoma. And it started to spread. At first, I really didn't want to have any chemotherapy because I was really scared of chemotherapy. I'd seen 2 people die who were on chemotherapy. But the cancer unfortunately spread, even though I was trying a lot of different alternative things. And looking back on hindsight, I know that the major reason was because of a lot of fear that I was going through at the time. But at the end of 2005, I had a body scan, and the doctors told my husband, they didn't tell me, they told my husband that I had 3 months to live at best. They said that's at best. But 6 weeks later, I fell into a coma. But during that time, even before falling into a coma, I was already, I couldn't walk. My muscles were all completely wasted. I was completely emaciated. I had huge open skin lesions. I was breathing with the aid of an oxygen tank. I couldn't breathe unaided. My lungs were filled with fluid, so I was constantly coughing and choking. I couldn't walk because my muscles had deteriorated. If I went out, my husband would have to take me in a wheelchair. And even though I was being treated in and out of hospital, I didn't want to stay in hospital, so I was going home, and then I had a full-time nurse. But on the morning of February the 2nd, I didn't wake up. And apparently my body completely swelled up. And my husband called my doctor, and he said to just rush me to the hospital. And so the doctor said to rush me to, it was a different hospital. It was like one of the best cancer clinics in Hong Kong. So my husband rushed me to that hospital. And when I went into that hospital, the doctors basically said that this was it. I was dying. And it's even written in my medical records that they informed my family that this was it. I wasn't going to come out of the coma. And these were my last few hours. It would be 36 hours at the most. That was all I had. And they said my organs had now shut down. And that's why I was in the coma. And that's why my body had completely swelled up, because my organs had stopped functioning. And so all the toxins were building up, and my skin lesions were weeping because because the toxins were coming out of the skin lesions. So I was in like a really bad state, and the doctor said that I had tumors like the size of lemons from the base of my skull all the way down, like under my arms and down my chest, and all the way down to below my abdomen.
Wow.
And my brain was filled with fluid as well. And so there was like no chance at all. But while everybody thought that I was in a coma, I was just in this really, really beautiful place. It was, it was really, really amazing. And I was aware of everything that was happening around me. I was aware of my family being really distraught, and actually it's quite emotional because I didn't understand why they were so distraught, because I was feeling so good. I was feeling really free, like all that pain of all that suffering from the last few years of having the cancer and all the pain in my body and everything. I was free from it. I felt really light, really, really light. And then I felt as though I was like surrounded by what I can only describe as unconditional love. It's more than that. I mean, even the word love, it just doesn't do justice to it. It's like a feeling like you're home. You know, it's very, very comforting. And it was a very welcoming and comforting feeling. And I was aware that I could see and hear and feel everything that was happening, and not even what was around me, but I saw the doctors telling my husband and my mom, who was there, that my organs had shut down, and that was it. I was dying. Mm-hmm. They called my brother to tell him to come. He was not in Hong Kong, and they called him to tell him I was dying and that he better rush over. Now, my brother, even before he got the call from my husband, he already sensed something was wrong. So he already started booking a flight, and he couldn't get a flight in the town he was in. So he actually hired a car to drive 3 hours to the next town to get a flight. And there was a sense of urgency that he just wanted to come and be here with me. And while I was in that state, I was even aware of my brother and what he was doing, and him getting on the plane and coming to see me. And then I had this feeling that I don't want to die before he comes here. I don't want him to see my body just laying there dead, because that would be quite distressing for him. And I just had that feeling that I didn't want to do it. My brother's older than me, but I sort of just felt a sense of protectiveness over him. And a lot of what happened while I was in that state is quite confusing, because it didn't feel like time runs linear. It feels like everything was happening at the same time. Like whatever I brought into my awareness, it was happening in front of me. You know, whether I was thinking, whether I brought my husband into my awareness, he was there, and I understood my purpose with him. I understood that his purpose and my purpose was linked, and we were meant to be in this life together. And if I understood that if I died, he would die as well. He would follow me soon after. He wouldn't be able to fulfill his purpose. And then I became aware of my father. His presence was just around me, because my father had passed away 10 years before that. And at the time when I was growing up, I used to have a lot of, I would say, differences with my father, because he's quite Orthodox Hindu, and I used to rebel against it. Like, he'd wanted me to have an arranged marriage, and I didn't. So there were a lot of a lot of differences. But in that state, it was really amazing. It's like we're without our culture, we're without our egos, without our bodies. And I felt nothing but unconditional love from him.
How amazing.
Yeah, so it was
so
like...
you were surrounded, really, or you could bring in that space the people that you love and wanted to be with and see. It was really effortless. Boom, as soon as you had that thought, they were there and you were experiencing them from an unconditional point of view.
Absolutely, yes. Because it was like thoughts, if you can even call it thoughts, it was like awareness. You bring something into your awareness and it's instantly. It's just there. It's happening. It's right in front of you. There's no time lapse. And even coming back into this realm, it's very hard to put everything into a sequence, because it all felt like it was happening at the same time. Mm-hmm. I was even aware of other lives. It was as though I had lived other lives. But I was watching those lives, not like they were past lives, but like they were actually happening there in front of me. So it's like all of time exists at the same time. There is only now. There is only the present moment. everything is happening at the present moment, the past, the present, the future, because I saw the possibility of the future, of whether I lived or I died. I saw both possibilities, and it could have gone either way.
And you had a choice.
I had a choice of whether I wanted to come back or not. And at first, I really didn't want to come back. I didn't want to come back because...
Felt so good.
It was just, yeah, it felt really good. And I didn't want to come back to that heavy, burdensome, sick body. I mean, my body was so wasted. I just thought there was no use. And that body was not just causing me pain, but it was causing pain for my whole family to see me like that. It was causing pain to my husband, who was caring for me, my mother. So I really didn't want to come back. And when I had the thought of not coming back, it was like I saw that happening, that I hadn't come back, and then the doctors actually telling my family that I had died because of organ failure due to end-stage cancer that had spread. And so I actually saw that happening, and then my distraught family. But
so the doctor, you're saying, announced you were dead, and the line was flat, and your heart was not beating anymore, and you were gone, medically gone.
I was medically gone. And then, but at the same time, I also, see, this is why it's so hard to put it all into sequence, because I also started to get this understanding of why I got the cancer in the first place. I started to understand that the cancer was like a culmination of everything I was up to that point in life. And I had always been very fearful. Like, I'd always feared letting people down, disappointing people. I had a lot of fears. You know, I feared cancer. I feared chemotherapy. I feared eating the wrong foods, you know, foods that caused cancer. And I just lived a really fearful life. And everything that I did in life, I did out of fear, not out of love for myself or love for my body or love for who I was. But I did it out of fear, out of a fear for the consequences. And so I just completely understood that my life was just a culmination of fearful thoughts. And it was everything, like right from the time I was a child, you know, whether it was fear of religion and fear, all kinds of fears. It's like even our spiritual beliefs and our religions, they're supposed to be empowering and inspiring and make us feel love, not fear of death and fear of the afterlife and fear of punishment or fear of bad karma and all these things. And that's not right. We're not supposed to interpret religion that way.
Yeah.
So it's just, the clarity was just amazing. I just felt this incredible clarity as to why I had the cancer and how all this fear had accumulated in my energy and in my physical body, and then creating illness in the end, like maybe through creating blockages in my body. And I realized that we're not supposed to live a life of fear. We're actually amazing, magnificent beings. And at our core, that's what we are. We are amazing, magnificent, spiritual beings who are supposed to just live our truth and express who we are. And we're not supposed to be afraid to be who we are. We're not supposed to pretend to be something else. And I realized that I'd always been afraid to be who I am.